Allen had his own lineman come up with some ideas about defensing RPOs. I guess you probably spent some time with that.
Yeah, as a staff, not only defensively we talk about it, but we cross-train offense and defense. Not just what our offense is doing or what our defense is doing, but what they think about what opponents are doing. So that's not an unusual thing.
How do you stop?
What's that?
How do you stop it?
The RPOs, well, I mean, you just got to really you can't overplay anything. I think that's probably the biggest thing. If you're overplaying the run, you make yourself susceptible to the pass. If you're overplaying the pass, you make yourself susceptible to the run. I think that's been the basis of that. RPOs aren't new, been around for a while. Probably the increased use of them is probably a little bit more new, but it's a challenge that we've dealt with for a long time now.
Your impression, Jim, of Jordan Hicks the first 2 days of practice?
Yeah, it looks the same. We had geared him back quite a bit in the off season, and he was probably ready for a little bit more than we allowed him to do, which is sort of our job as coaches. Players are always chomping at the bit to do more, but I think he's benefited from that, and he looks the same. His weight's down just a little bit, which I think is good. I talked to him about that. Excited to have him back in the middle of our defense.
How's your confidence kind of like with Nigel suspension coming up, like working some of the other guys in?
Yeah, honestly, it's really not a whole lot different for us right now because we have to prepare for all those things anyway. I mean, maybe it's not a suspension that we know about, but maybe come week one, we got a player with a hamstring, or we got a guy with an ankle, or something like that. Our job as coaches is to prepare for a lot of different contingencies. And I'll sort of transition from that. Not just Nigel knowing what's coming, but also players like Timmy Jernigan and guys like that. It's easier to handle stuff like that now because you have plenty of time than if it happened. If a guy needs his appendix, and this is one of my nightmares. Like night before a game, guys emergency appendectomy. Hard to make up for stuff like that. But now it's not that hard.
Jim, you have a bunch of new faces on the defensive line, and two of them are over 30. Does it matter less at that position because of the rotation than say other spots in terms of the age?
Yeah. I tell you, here's the first thing. Being around those guys in the meeting, being around those guys on the field with the energy they have, with the experience they bring, it never feels like they're, sort of older vets. They're excited about what we do. They're excited about being here. So, that's probably the first thing that strikes me about guys like that. But all the way across the board, I think that, guys, the thing with those guys, and I'm trying to think of the best way to put this, those guys, when you're talking guys that are 10-year vets, and Michael's going into his 10th year, and Haloti more than that, they know what it takes to get their bodies through. They know what training camp is all about. They know what a regular season is all about, and that helps us to manage those guys also. So that experience helps them.
Time for the first game, but when you look at the talent you have at defensive end, is it daunting to try to figure out how to get all those guys some snaps?
It'd probably be, let me know after that game, probably. Coaches always want as many good players as we can get. I think that one of our themes last year was the fact that we were able to withstand quite a bit of injuries to key players, and depth is a big part of that. So you're never going to find a coach that's going to complain about trying to find ways to get more talent on the field, and I think that's the way we feel about it. The players like the competition. We like the competition. That's going to make the players better. And then also it's going to prepare us for the inevitable situations that come up over the course of the year. We all deal with them.
As as a coach, do you take into consideration trying to keep guys pleased with the amount of work, or you just have to go off of what's best for you?
No, you do what's best. You do what's best for the team, and these guys all understand that.
When you look at Sidney Jones, you had him active at the end of last season. You look at him now, is there a feeling of confidence, less competitive? Do you see him more?
Oh, he's at a completely different spot than the rookies are right now. Sitting in every meeting, he made good use of that time. Just getting his body ready and training, know what he's got to go through. It doesn't seem like he's a rookie player out there.
In speaking most of the spring, Fletcher said his goal was Defensive Player of the Year. At that position, it usually takes double-digit sack production. What's it going to take for Fletcher to have that type of sack production?
If you're rushing well, the sacks are going to come. But there's plenty of times that you can do everything right, not get a sack. I give you an example. You can have a great rush, get the quarterback, and the quarterback be going to the ground and throw the ball away. And flag comes out, and it's intentional grounding, and the ball is at that spot with loss of down, but guess who didn't get the sack registered? The defensive lineman who earned it. So, I think that we try to keep our eye on just being efficient, playing well, being productive, and productive doesn't always mean that you're actually getting the sack. And I think that with the metrics that have come out now, with a lot of the analytics that have come out, I think people are now starting to see that a little bit more. You guys are starting to see it a little bit more. Sometimes you can't judge a defensive lineman or a corner. There's some corners without very many interceptions because they don't get the ball thrown at them very much. And so I think that.
So in Fletcher's case, what's the next step in his development at this point in his career?
I think that just like any player, he's a veteran player. He's been around a lot. We're all just trying to find ways to develop new tools, to keep in mind our strengths, and to work on being consistent. And with Fletch, we're talking about shades of gray there. Some players you're talking about, significant steps they need to take. He's not far. I think you could probably pick out 8 games where he played at that level anyway. So anyway, go ahead.
What you just asked about Malcolm and Rodney, you have a handful of undrafted guys who have no regular season experience. Have any of those guys stood out so far this year?
I think all of them are sort of in the same boat. They've all benefited from being here. We've cross-trained a lot of guys to play. You guys probably haven't seen the results of that yet, but you'll eventually see some of that. We feel strong. We feel confident that all those guys can make contributions. That's going to be determined by the course of training camp and the preseason games. But we're optimistic.
How much is effective for a variety of different reasons? Might not have Jernigan, maybe just your offense. You can run that more this year.
You never know how it's going to play out. Each team has different strengths. Each team has different plans of attack. You just got to be multi-dimensional enough that you can handle everything that comes up from a week-to-week basis in a 16-game season.
You haven't had Michael Bennett for a lot since he signed here. But what have you made in terms of how he competes out there and what you've seen when you have rewatched the film?
Yeah, he's going to be a great asset to this team. First of all, and I hadn't had a whole lot of exposure to him other than watching him wreck the offenses that I've been a part of. But because he wears those little tiny shoulder pads, you don't realize how big he is. You guys go watch him stand next to Fletch, and that's when it comes to me. It's like, wow, this is a big man. Asset to the team, not just from his play, but I think I mentioned this back in the spring. Mike is a great mentor to younger players, and I'm not just talking about off-the-field stuff and stuff like that. Watch him during an individual period and watch him provide instructions to the back of the roster guys, to the undrafted free agents. He's not a selfish player. He's a team first guy, and he's been a pleasure for us to have around. I'm really excited about seeing all the different ways he can contribute to this team, because it's not just going to be on the field.
Talked about their on-field chemistry, Jim, about their ability to pre-snap to kind of figure out what the offense is doing and be able to communicate that with not only with each other but with the rest of the defense. I mean, how beneficial is that chemistry between them?
Yeah, I think it goes beyond chemistry. I think chemistry is part of it, but the only way you have chemistry is if both guys are so confident in their ability to know what to do, and then they have confidence in the other player's ability to know what to do. They're both really good communicators, and I think that breeds that chemistry that they're talking about. I think both of those guys have the ability. Like it's interesting. Jordan sometimes can calm our defense down, and Nigel can sometimes get us revved up. So I like it. Got a little bit of fire and ice. I guess I can't think of a good. You guys come up with your own Batman and Robin. I don't know what simile is good there, but they both bring a little bit something different to the party, I guess you'd say.
What have you seen from Rasul Douglas this offseason, and where'd you kind of want him to improve from the snaps he played last year?
Yeah, I thought he contributed well for us last year. There was a lot of concern when we lost Darby in that first game, but Rasul had a lot to do with getting us through to overcoming that injury, so to speak. And it wasn't always good. I mean, he had ups and downs, just like any rookie would. His understanding of the defense. I mean, and I say this about Rasul, but you could probably add 6 other names in there that are going into their second year. Their understanding of our defense is so much more in depth now. Their conditioning, their body is so much better. Their technique is so much better. There's a reason that you hear guys make their biggest jumps from year 1 to year 2, and it's all that stuff is accumulated. You see, it's not shades of gray there. They take big steps, and we need Russell to take big steps, because just like we were talking about defensive line, we're going to need all those guys in the secondary. Injuries are a fact of life, and we just need to be ready for when they occur. All right, guys.
Thanks.